You remember your graduation, Grandma T? You remember when you graduated? You went to seminary school. So you remember when you graduated from college? You went to seminary school, right?
Yeah, I went to Notre Dame. Some pictures.
You went to Notre Dame?
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, I was ordained in Notre Dame. In the Basilica, there's a DVD tape on it somewhere around here.
Really?
Yeah.
Did not know that.
Yeah. I was ordained as a Lutheran pastor. I worked for the church for about 30 years. I retired from it. I had a church in Buffalo, New York. Then later I came down here and had a church here in Louisville and then Lexington.
How long did it take you to go to school? How long did you go to school for?
I had to go with a 9-man colloquy for 9 years. And I had to write dissertations and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
9 years. I didn't know that. Okay.
What did you say earlier? They wrote a piece. They just wrote a piece on you on something.
Yeah, there's a tape around here somewhere. Never got. I don't know where it's at.
And what was it up?
It's all about me graduating and showing the ceremony and all that stuff when I was at Notre Dame.
Okay.
Yeah.
What class was that?
Class of what?
I guess 76.
76.
Yeah.
76. I wasn't even born yet. I was 77. I was almost thought about.
Almost thought about.
And 77.
What's that in your hand,
I was born in 77.
This is what came from China. He had this made for me. It's called a seal. This said Nicobi root system. It's a style we created that I brought back from Suwannee career.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now, what degree of black belt or whatever? What is it that you do? Martial arts.
I was really a 10th degree.
Okay.
And I was in the Nicobi root system.
Okay.
And then we turned it to, well, we talked about it as empty hands, and then later we said self-defense and all that stuff.
Okay.
But I taught for years around here ever since 1976. Then that's when I was drafted from teaching the art because of a name. Then I was picked up by the Lutheran Church from Fort Knox to go there, and that's how I got the job. You know.
Well, you started doing martial arts. Why did you start it? Did you want to teach at the beginning, or you just wanted to?
No, I was. I learned the art when I was in Suwannee career with the ROK Rock Soldiers, but I was cutting grass one day over in Hurstburn or somewhere over there, and George Roberts seen me, and he told Mike, and then Mike challenged me as Shawnee, and I went and worked out. And after the workout, from then on, Mike made me be the instructor and created a school, and I started teaching ever since then. But I was teaching, I wasn't just teaching the art, I was also teaching black theology and Afrocentricism.
When you went to Korea, was it mandatory that you learned, or is that something that you volunteered for?
No, just something I volunteered to do because I was an air policeman. Okay. I got taught getting beat up down at the beer garden.
Air policeman?
Yeah.
They was rowdy, huh?
Yeah. He was no big man. I mean, he was no tall man, no big man, you know. So
they slammed me all up against the refrigerator.
Yeah.
Knocked me down. I got taught of that. I was a little fella. I wasn't no big, heavy, strong guy. I learned the art, so I started knocking them out.
That's right.
Then it got so they said, wait a minute, hold it. Not him. Don't pull no more pranks. Stop.
How much was your first lesson? Did they charge you?
I didn't know. I remember I was at the PX and started talking. And this guy, he was a retired ROK Rock soldier, and he said, told me, come over, and I started training.
Okay.
And tell them what they told you about the history of the art.
Yeah, he said the art came from a black man in the first place. Buddha Gama was a black man. He wasn't that monk wasn't white.
Right.
And that we were gods as black people. They wanted to know what vanilla ice cream teaching y'all. That's what they call the white boy, vanilla ice cream.
ice cream to you.
Yeah. And what you over here for in the first place?
Right.
If you ain't got a country.
That's right.
Why you fighting us? So they re-educate us to come back here and be revolutionists.
That's right. Wow. So you just you came back and then working through the church, you end up getting a job instructing?
Yeah, but I wasn't working at the church at that time.
Okay.
I was just working as a auto alignment. I was an alignment mechanic.
Oh, really?
And I just started teaching in the spare time that I was off. And it just came from there and took a bloom and took me somewhere else. And that's how I began to go one place to another place to another place.
Was the mechanics your job in the military? I mean, you said you was MP, right?
I was MP.
You was MP. So
Yeah.
where had you learned to work on cars?
I came out and said I want to work on cars.
I guess.
My VA. So they gave me my VA.
Oh, okay. So you went to school after that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
I was all like,
And they got me the job.
I was like, where'd that come from? You went from being a police?
Yeah, and then they said they had a program called on-the-job training.
Right, OJT.
So I volunteered for it. The VA gave it to me.
That's cool. Police are working on cars, and then you spent 30 years in the church.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That got me to the church work. Because when they hired me to Buffalo, New York, they needed somebody that had skill to fight to protect the church that was white, that was trying to turn black.
Really?
So I went there monitoring and ended up being a missionary at first. Then I ended up learning so much till I ended up became a pastor.
Wow. Now, how long did you stay there?
About 19 years.
In Buffalo? And then you moved back down here?
Then I got a transfer here because the wife I had wanted to come back home.
Oh, so you're going to come back.
I tried to address that need. So I ended up coming back as a church developer. Then I developed a church here, and then I later on developed a church in Lexington. So I had a church in Lexington named St. Maurice African Lutheran Church. And they asked me, how can you do that? I said, Maurice was a Moor. And they said, but was he classified as saint? I said, check it and see. One of the guys had something to go all the way to Europe. And then he checked it and found out. He said, he has a relative bone. He's a saint. So that's how we named the church in Lexington.
Wow.
So I was made a Moor back here in 1947 or 48. We had Moors on Warner Street that had a vegetable shop. And I would hang with the old timers, and that's how I started learning.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. So you said you was an actual developer, so there's an actual position to go around and develop churches?
Yeah, it was my job to develop churches.
And what does that really consist of?
Well, it consists of you teaching and...
Who wants to be first?
Huh?
What is right? Huh?
Yeah.
Who wants to be first?
I don't know what it's talking about.
For what?
You like everybody like with the latex
She does that every time she gets them gloves.
Yeah. What is that? No.
So you teach and you get the congregation to grow?
Yeah. I had to make them grow. They had to have a certain number before the mission could become a church. At first, when you start out, it's missionary work.
Right.
Okay.
Until you get a certain amount of people to chart it and then put it in the status of a church. Okay? And then you have to have so much income coming from your community to establish the church. Or else the church can't work.
Right.
Okay? Because to run a church, generally, the average monthly thing was $700. You got to get that from the people in the community.
All right.
So,
Well, that's a good skill because even for the Moors, you know what I mean?
well, it was really, it was a skill of organizing.
That's what I mean.
Okay? You know, they just put the word church on that. But it's all about establishing or organizing and making something become authentic. Okay?
Right.
And before I was able to preach I had to write my sermons. They did not allow for you to just run your mouth.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And then they would correct what you wrote and see the English composition is right before they let you talk. So it wasn't all that simple.
Right.
Like the Lord told me. If the Lord told you so much, then do it. And then let me correct and see if your composition is right and your English is understood. All that stuff about it. I went to sleep and woke up and the Lord got me. I don't know where y'all getting all that stuff from. Yeah, the white folks didn't play that.
They didn't?
They said, the Lord is you having knowledge.
All right.
That's the Lord.
Because you know what? I think that's partly because that's what they've had. They have had, that's the way they had to learn.
Mm-hmm.
They are imitators.
Right.
They're the what do they call it? The
Impersonators.
no, the fox. The fox that stole the semen from and the Dogon.
Oh, okay.
Understand.
Right.
God was supposed to be what should I say? I do it in sign language. And yeah.
Right. Gotcha.
and then when at the point of ejaculation, the fox came and stole the semen.
Seed. Right, the seed.
So he would never have the complete. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
It's not natural.
Right.
So he had to analyze. That's why they're so, what is it, left brain or right brain?
Left.
Left brain. In analyzing everything.
That's very true.
And
They had no creative source.
That's the way they had to learn. And what they did is they tell us, their captors, the one that they captured, they say this is the way you're gonna have to learn. And if you don't learn it this way, then you don't make the grade.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They control your method of learning
That's
as well
right.
as what you learn.
That's right.
That's right. That's true. Mm. Did you have both of the churches at the same time in Lexington or two different times? Lexington.
Two different times.
Okay. Okay.
No. I had a new creation here in Louisville. And I let Claude run that for me while I went to Lexington to create another church with St. Maurice African Lutheran Church.
Okay.
I had the FBI pick me up here in Louisville for black theology. And
This is what, probably in the 60s? When was this that they
about 77, 76,
Okay.
something like that.
So this is after all the riots and they were still being,
Yeah, well,
building their files up.
it wasn't so much on that I think it was Afrocentric. It was your black clergy here in Louisville that got upset about you talking about black theology with a black Jesus.
Oh, really?
It wasn't the white folk. White folks was coming down there admiring the picture that was on the walls and stuff of the black Jesus with the dreads and stuff. Your problem is your own cotton pickers that sit right beside you.
Wow.
With the white folks. White folks, we were trying to keep them from being part with us because they would make you not see what we're doing.
Right.
What do you look like with some white people sitting up there beating drums?
Right.
And they'll do it.
And they wanted to do that.
I know.
And we had to try to keep them out of the church.
Right.
See it all the time. So FBI picked you up.
Yeah, took me to the post office right down there, 10th floor. And they want to know what the charge was un-American. And then when I got there, they said, shit, what was the word?
Unpatriotic.
But they said first
Subversive or something.
it was un-American, but then they got there and they said something about me.
Sacrilegious.
Sacrilegious, that's right. I was sacrilegious to the Bible.
Right. Because it wasn't the white Jesus.
Yeah, sacrilegious. They didn't intend for you to worship no more black Jesus. You're supposed to worship the white one. But in Poland, Jesus and Mary and all were black.
Yeah.
The original understanding of Kemet was black.
That's
So
right.
what's going on here?
Right.
Then you're going to turn around and talk about you can't qualify nobody to be Egyptianologist because your boy, what's his name?
Dr.
Ben. They wouldn't even give him no degrees for it.
They wouldn't let him go to school for it.
They wouldn't let him go to school for it.
That's right. They said black
Really?
people couldn't go to school for
That's
that.
right.
Now why? They showed the hiding stuff.
But no, they made Budge be the keeper of the gate.
Yep, the gatekeeper.
It's just like the Masonic and the Shriners. How you gonna be talking about you're a Christian, and to be a Shriner, you got to take an oath on the Quran. You can't be no Christian and be a Shriner. It's impossible. All that kind of stuff, you know, it's something else out there. And then the immediate understanding is every bit of that within itself came from ancient Kemet.
Right.
So you're talking about the Karas instead of the Christ.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sure they wasn't too happy when you got to preaching that.
Look, man, the
They
bishop,
went on and let you out.
the Polish bishop would sick me on redneck. And that man protected me left and right. And they run me for a bishop in the Senate, and I got 3 votes.
Really?
With 3,000 people.
He said at least you got a percentage of 1% of the vote.
So after they picked you up FBI, then you got to working here in the community and all the stuff you're doing now in Louisville.
Yeah,
That's
but
when all that started.
my problem wasn't white folks.
Right.
My problem was niggas in the community. Okay?
We won't say nothing.
And it was that serious.
Yeah.
Serious.
I mean, it's still the same problem today.
And if you face facts, you really don't want to look at it because it would take the strength out of you to be who you're supposed to be.
Right. Yeah, definitely got to have that hope because you need that.
Do you see a change in how the community was then than it is now, or is it worse? Better?
I think it's worse.
You think it's worse now?
I think it's worse.
Yeah, it's more I think it's more competitive now. Because these people are really, our people are so hung up on money, selling, you know, they want power so bad, prestige so bad, that they have really lost their ethical consciousness. Ethical and ethnical.
Well, you think that has something to do with the priority and what is the actual driving force for the children? You know, at one time it used to be our priority, or it was your God, then your parents, then your teachers, and as far as who influenced the child. Now it's more like the peer groups influence the children before anybody else. And they take their command off of what their friends say over what their parents may put out there, what society may put out there. And I think that may have a big difference, because at one point it's like when I remember coming up, it's like your parents are God, you know what I mean? Like I said, I brought you in, I take you out. But now we're to a point where they've made it where the children can feel like, your parents can't do nothing to you. Call, if you got a problem, call the police, and we're going to, arrest them. And, so it's like the power structure is different. And I think
our problem is that we have let the power structure become so powerful till we Robux.
Yeah.
We don't question nothing, we just do.
Exactly.
And we don't realize the word religion really means to rebind principles, attributes, and standards to make them worthwhile to benefit you. We don't know that. All we want to know about what's the 10 Commandments. And remember, he reduced it down to one, just love. If you can learn to love yourself, just love.
I heard something a while ago that when I was down there at the shop, the man was outside talking about Peach's shop, telling somebody that the remedy for hate is love. The remedy to hate is love. That is so simple.
Right.
And it's so unfulfilling and so not real. Because you gotta, you know, what about understanding?
Right.
What about truth?
That's right.
You know, that's what gets, that's what the remedy is, truth. It's not always pleasant, but it's truth. Until you stand on truth, you're going to have fear and hatred and all. It's got to be truth.
Because it never changes.
It certainly doesn't. Love is artificial if it's not real.
That's right.
If you fake it like that,
That's
you're
right.
dealing with a whole bunch of psychological issues that you haven't gotten to the root of.
Right.
Fake it.
I agree with you because that's how we move with our star. It starts with love, and love demonstrated in truth brings peace, and peace gives you the freedom to be yourself. And from that freedom, justice takes its point, and that's how the circle goes, or the star goes. And I agree with that 100%. Yeah, but how we get away from that? I don't know.
How we get away from what?
I said how we got away from that.
Oh.
I don't know because it's like
by not being able to relate to one another.
Okay.
They tell me good relationships is part of the kingdom of God.
In order to have those good relationships, I mean, we were stripped of all our relationships. Our husbands were stripped from us. Our children were stripped from us.
We had no principle.
Not everything was stripped from us. So how do we gather that back to have that understanding of relationships? Everything was stripped from us. So yeah, you're right. The relationships are not.
So you was caught in the state of sinfulness because you was a slave. On who accord?
Wow.
So 30 years in the church. You was in the church 30 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now you've been active in the community. Who knows how long?
He's good.
50, 60 some years. When you look over that, you know, how do you feel about, you know, what you've done and your progress as far as, you know, what you've been able to leave through all that work? You know, because that's a lot of work, 30 years, and helping ones find their spiritual connection, 30 years or plus years of teaching one about being the Afrocentric, you know, I mean, their true self. How do you feel about that? You know, because I know you didn't start out on that. Like you said, you started out, you know, being the police, you know, you go into being the police, then you go to fixing on cars, then you end up really in your divine nature where you're supposed to be. And that's a journey. What do you think about that?
I don't, because I feel like it was just yesterday.
Just yesterday?
Yeah.
When you started?
When I look back at things, it was just yesterday. I don't see them years.
You don't think it's easier now for you than it was then? As far as
no, I think it's harder now than what it was. Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Because people supposed to be so smart today. I already got the answer.
They already got the answer. All right. They don't want to listen.
They can't be told nothing.
Right.
They already know. You old time. This is modern. We don't do that stuff like you used to do.
Right.
Cancel you out.
Right.
So whatever you got to say about the past, we're talking about the present.
Right.
Goodbye.
So no respect.
No respect for the elders or wisdom.
They don't want no wisdom. They want instant gratification.
Wow.
I am that I am because I say I am. It ain't about no spent years. It ain't about me working up to it. I'm there because I'm there.
But you planted a lot of seeds.
Yeah.
You got a legacy behind you that's grand.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that they can, you know what I mean, gonna say, you know, I remember, you know, growing up and hearing the word or hearing or feeling the spirit move because the truth was being demonstrated to you. And that's a great lesson. You know what I mean? I just was asking, you know, to you, did it feel?
There's always young people out there, or older people, or their children, that do something for me.
Right.
I wouldn't be in here if it wasn't for one that I trained at one time. Just fix it, move him in. That's the old man. It's over.
That's a great legacy.
Okay.
Yeah.
So all I got, really, lots of times, my credibility is my past.
Right. The seeds you have sown.
Okay? They're now repaying me for what I've done to them. I lift them up, now they're lifting me up.
The gold and silver belongs to the citizens alone.
It goes around, comes around.
That's right. You just plain rich. That's what the prophet said. You just plain rich, boy.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
And you're rich in our, you know, giving to each other, like you said. You know, that's where it goes around, comes around. You plant, and then one day it bears fruit.
That's right.
So you still planting seeds, and they still bearing fruit.
Like you said, yeah, the whole day full of just speaking into existence all day.
That's what I do all the time around here. And they take care of me one way or another. Yeah. Every now and then I have to tell them, get on them, hey, put some money in the pot. I got to pay rent and all that stuff.
Right.
But that's just a course of reminding.
Yeah.
Right. They got to clean your house up.
They're going to do it by nature. It's a natural thing to respond to goodness with goodness.
I don't feel like it.
They don't feel like
It don't feel like sometimes. I know.
You know what's one thing strange about happiness? You don't know it, you feel it.
Right.
How many brothers and sisters you got, Grandma T?
All of my sisters passed away.
No, one.
I got one brother.
Left?
You got married May?
Yeah, I got one sister left. Minnie Mae.
So that's two.
She's the oldest.
Well, how many?
She was.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. She's the oldest.
Yeah, she was the oldest.
Where were you in the line? What number?
Well,
3.
3.
He was the third one.
No? Yeah, 3, yeah.
Did they ever used to come to your church? Did they ever come to your sermons and stuff?
Sis would come. Mammy came 1 or 2 times. Wallace's son would come all the time. So, you know.
That's good, because, you know, I know sometimes when you know, we do better, you know, family don't really support you. They see you, you know what I mean, especially being your brother and sister, they see you as one thing.
That's right.
Yeah.
Because they know you. From your life, and they don't,
Yeah.
and they don't really see you, you know, being able to transform to that, you know, and be a pillar in the community. Sometimes they look at you like, oh,
well, it was harder for my auntie and all of them to see me as a minister, because I remember my A&M was saying, I don't want him to be over my grade. Said he's doing that in that voodoo stuff.
Isn't that funny how they related to the voodoo stuff?
Yeah.
And my mother, she was the voodoo woman in the family, and they call her Mom Bell, and they didn't know she was doing voodoo.
Really?
They don't know the word voodoo only mean God.
Right.
Can you believe that? She would take other people's children and raise them. She would take care of the people that need anything. People would come and drop food off at her doorstep to see if she was okay.
Wow.
She was the medicine woman. She brought children into the world, midwife. That's the way she lived. They nicknamed her Mom Bell. And I didn't know that's what they called her Mama and Papa when they were priests in Africa.
This was all while you was growing up in the household? You
Yeah.
used to do this?
Yeah.
So y'all had a full house, huh?
Yeah, we always had a full house. It was never lonely in there. Everybody's kid belonged to Mama.
Right.
And they nicknamed her Mom Bell.
And you from here, Grandma? Originally from Louisville?
Richard from Louisville.
Oh, wow.
Born and raised here.
Do you think you would have ever came back unless your wife wanted to move back?
I don't. Yeah, I really don't. I really don't think I would have came back.
Mm-hmm.
I had no intentions of coming back here.
Mm-hmm.
Too small for you?
What happened was I sent out a
Oh.
Oh, that's what it was.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he didn't know it, but
He didn't know it. He didn't know it at the
He
time.
didn't know at the time. I didn't either.
See,
All right.
that's why I don't like to be around anybody because they put spells on me. Don't feed me. Don't give me no water. Don't do nothing for me.
You didn't know at the time. That's
No.
what it was.
I remember Stevie Wonder, Superstition.
Yeah, best thing ever happened to you. Waiting on you. Down the road.
No, she knew what she was doing. She was conjuring.
Yeah.
She fried me some fish.
Oh, is that what it happened?
And when I ate that fish, I've been hooked ever since.
Ever since. Was that the first meal she
It was
cooked
the
you with
first
some
meal,
fish?
and it was the last meal.
And what year was that when y'all got together and met?
91.
91.
Right after 9/11.
Oh, wow.
It was November the 10th,
No.
91.
She know more about it than I do.
And the reason why I know is because this psychic on the 900 numbers told me in 96. Now, did I say 91?
Yeah, you said 91. 2001.
2001.
I was thinking, okay, 2001.
Yeah, in 96, right before I left my last husband, she said that I was, she said my marriage was getting ready to end soon, and that then later on she said I was going to meet there's a man who was coming out of his marriage, and she named a few ways you come out of it.
Mm-hmm.
She said, I don't know how he's coming, but he's coming out of his marriage. And it's like he's been going through something for 12 years, the past 12 years. And she said, and your wife was sick for 12 years, am I right?
Mm-hmm.
She was sick for 12 years. And so she said that I see the number 10. I don't know if it's 10 weeks, 10 months, or 10 days. But I don't know what that is. She said, but I see the number 10. Well, in 2001 is when I met him, and it was on November the 10th.
10. Wow.
Yeah. And now he married, he had what I call he married, after his wife passed away, he married again. But that lasted, what, about 2 years maybe when she was sick. Then she passed away.
Oh, wow.
So I said, well,
Hold on.
when I come in here, I said, buck stop here.
Yeah, that's right. So I ain't going.
That's when I came home arrested.
Yeah, I ain't going nowhere.
I ain't going nowhere.
So she cooked you some fish, and then you was hooked.
I've been hooked ever since.
Wow. She couldn't get rid of you after that, huh? Now